And so, again, I went back to my tulip block and did a little more work and some changes on it and came up with the one that's over here. And so that's the one we're going to actually do tonight. So let's start out looking at what we have to cut. And let's make sure I've got all of this here. There's lots of little pieces in this one. Now, what I've got right here is what it takes for one tulip. That's what I'm going to put up on the board right now. So we've got a background color that we've got several pieces of it. And these are small pieces. Last night I was taking my pictures to go in the handout, which I want you to know, guys, I spend all day every Sunday doing this. Because by the time I make step after step of samples, it's usually evening before I make it upstairs, get my board out, and then take all my pictures, and then I sit down and type out all my directions. So it's an all-day project every Sunday.
Lost in space.
And I think that my husband is really waiting for this class to end so that I will start cooking again on Sundays, because that has just plain gone by the wayside.
Well, he needs to go out and get Chinese or something like that.
Yeah, no, that'll never happen. That I can tell you, because he doesn't like Chinese. So.
No, right then. Something else then.
Yeah, you'd think if he really wanted to eat, he would go find us something somewhere. Okay, so for the tulip block, we've got several things going on. We've got our background pieces, we've got our flower pieces, we've got 3 colors of greens in this, okay? So you need a light, a medium, and a dark green for this one. And as you can see, I mean, for each one, it takes such little pieces. So, I mean, it can be scrap to make these flowers. And it can be done, it takes 4 flowers to make a block. You can do it where all 4 flowers are the same. You can do it where you've got, I think, what did I do on that one? All 4 are different. Or you could do 2 and 2. You know, any type of arrangement on that. But it takes a background color, a flower color, and 3 colors of green. Okay? So let's start out. What we're going to look at is how to, we're going to start out with making the flower portion first. So let's get these out of the way so that we can make our flower. All right. We're going to start out with the little bud. So we've got our little bud piece. Oh, I didn't have that one up on the board either, did I? We have a little bud piece, and we have a little background square, okay? So what we're going to do on these is we're going to put the right sides together, stitch them together, so that it comes out to be this little piece here. And then we're going to take our small little rectangle, background rectangle, and you already know how this works. Fold it over, stitch your line, and now we've got the little bud center for our flower, okay? So we're going to just kind of set that off to the side because we're going to need that in a minute. We've got that part done. So now we have to make our flower. And you guys all know now about marking on the marking your little diagonal line on the back of your background piece, the light colored piece, putting that with the larger square that you've cut for the flower, and you're going to stitch on a 1/4 inch on each side of that line that you've drawn, okay? We're not stitching on the line, on a 1/4 inch on each side of the line. And then you take your scissors and snip right down the line, okay? So now you've got two little triangle pieces, And when you open them up, you've got two nice little triangles. And we call these half triangle squares. And of course, when you first make them, they've got little ears sticking off when you fold them. And that stuff just drives me crazy. I don't know why. Some people it doesn't bother at all, but it drives me crazy. So I'm trimming everything off because I really want it to be a little square. And I happen to think that trimming that stuff off just gives you a little less bulk on the back of your piece also. So I trim it all off. Okay, so now we've got our two little triangle pieces, and somewhere we've got another little square. So right there we are with our flower. Okay? Very easy little flower. And one of the things I like about this flower is there's not a bunch of matching up stuff to do on it. You're not worrying about a bunch of points everywhere and things. So, you already know how this part goes, right? You fold it over, stitch the 1/4 inch, and when you open that up, then you've got this. Now on this, I press it so that, what I do on this one, rather than worrying about what color I'm pressing towards, I press it so that I can see that the little intersecting point on there, because I want to be able to see that when I'm stitching. So I press it opposite directions from each other with that intersecting point showing. Okay, so again, you know this part, flip it down, stitch across there, and now we've got our flower. And I sure think that's a cute flower. Okay, so now our next part, we've got to get our greenery together. And this is, you know, I think in that block it looks complicated, lots of little squares and things, but it's really very simple. So we had, back at the beginning, we had these two strips that we had cut. A strip of the dark color and a strip of the medium. So you're going to put those together, right sides together, stitch down the length of that. And the measurement that I gave you there on this is enough that you're just stitching the seam once, and then in the directions I tell you how to go back and cut that into 2 pieces, what size. And I gave you a little extra, so if you make a boo-boo on there, you've got a little extra. If you make some little clip or cut somewhere, you've still got plenty to make that. So you'll cut this into 2 pieces. Okay, so those are kind of the leaves to that thing. So we've got those made. And now we've got to put our little squares together. We've got our little light squares and our dark squares. So stitch those together. So you've got 2 little pieces. There's your stitching on them, on the edge of those, and then you're going to open them up. So now we're going to end up with these little things here. So here we are with 2 of those. But we want a little 4-patch block out of that. So we just flip one of them around, fold this down, and stitch it together. So now we've got our 4-patch. Okay? So each step of it is just a little piece. So now let's look at putting this together. We've got our pieces that it takes for the block. So here we are, we've got this one right here, our flower. We've got our leaves, so let's put those right there. We're putting the medium color next to the flower, and then you lay this so that the dark is opposite where the dark leaves are, okay? So there's your little block. And you know what to do now, right? You know the next part of this. Fold those over, stitch, then drop those down and stitch, and you come up with a block like that. Okay, so there's one block. But remember, we want this center part to look like a checkerboard, and I didn't want any of the same greens touching each other anywhere in the block. Okay, so here we made this one with this arrangement. Let's see if I've got another set. I think I should, but I don't know if I do. Well, let's see. Yeah, okay. So now this time what we're going to do, here we are with our block, and what we're going to do is flip this around. So now the dark green is next to the flower.